right, good morning. Welcome to the Wichita Police Department and Interwatch. It is Tuesday, May the 22nd. Appreciate everybody's patience with me this morning as we were gathering information to prepare for today's Interwatch. First, we have three different items we're going to cover today. One's an aggravated battery that occurred yesterday. One is an aggravated robbery occurring yesterday. And then also, I know we have many questions about the video camera or home surveillance camera that was turned at a residence yesterday. So I'll start out with a statement regarding that incident. The Wichita Police Department is reviewing the actions of two on-duty officers who went to a residence on a possible domestic violence call Sunday evening when one of them adjusted the home surveillance camera. I'll read a quote from the chief. "When an officer can articulate safety concerns, I am supportive of their decision. With rapidly changing technology and the increasing number of home security cameras, the WPD continually reviews practices to ensure they are in line with the expectations of the community and officer safety." Following are the events leading to this home visit. At approximately 11 p.m. on Sunday, the officers responded to a call at St. Francis Hospital involving 41-year-old Brandon Prowse and an adult female who was a possible domestic violence victim. Hospital staff removed Brandon's house arrest anklet in the hospital. A disturbance between Prowse and the female followed. She expressed to hospital staff she was concerned for her safety as the two were leaving together. Hospital staff contacted 911. Officers arrived, but both Prowse and the woman could not be located on the hospital grounds. Officers then drove to Prowse's home in the 1400 block of South Market looking for the female. Prior to visiting the residence, officers researched Prowse's criminal history. The criminal history check revealed past incidents of violence and domestic violence. At Prowse's home, officers observed the surveillance camera mounted on a swivel mount next to the front door. Due to safety concerns, one of the officers turned the camera away from where the officers were standing on the porch. Officers were unable to contact anyone at the residence, and they left. The officers' body-worn camera systems recorded the visit, and the video will be part of the internal review of the incident. I do have this in a news release that I will give to media, and also a copy of the police report that was made by the officers responding on this call.
Is this, I guess, normal practice or something new that they turn the security cameras?
You know, I know we have a practice, and we train our officers to remain vigilant with officer safety. This was a known violent offender. This was somebody that officers have been familiar with in the past. So we do train our officers to remain vigilant on these calls. Domestic violence are probably one of the most dangerous calls that officers can respond to, and we do encourage our officers to be safe when they're responding to these calls.
Without getting into this case in particular, can you articulate what safety concerns they are dealing with when it comes to surveillance and that sort of thing?
Sure. Again, like I said, domestic violence calls are one of the most dangerous calls that police officers respond to. We respond to domestic violence calls daily. And with the check of the criminal history, they did see there was a past incident of violence and also domestic violence involving the individual at the home. So with these things, the officer turned it away from the view of the officers on the porch for their officer safety.
And just looking into this, I know there's, some discussion about the legalities behind this. It is private property. The camera did belong to the owner. What are the rights and legalities in this situation?
Well, I mean, I'm not an attorney to get into the rights and legalities, but I can say that we do educate and do train our officers to be safe on all calls, and that officers in our policy, we can do what we need to do to stay safe. This was a violent known offender, and this was something the officers, a possible domestic violence situation, which is a dangerous situation. So the officers did move the camera for their safety.
Is this a written policy? Is it a new one? Is it an informal verbal policy, or is there a number for this policy that?
Well, I can look into if there's a specific number, but I do know we do train our officers. It is our policy to be vigilant on these calls. We talk about officer safety in our training academy. We talk about it in follow-up training. We're continually teaching different techniques and things like that for officers to stay safe. And we have to balance these things, officer safety and review of these situations. So there will be an internal review to make sure that we're in the best practices of what the community expects, but also that we're along the lines of best practices with officer safety as well. We have to weigh those factors in as well. Our officers are responding to this situation that could potentially be a very dangerous situation. We want them to stay safe.
So when you say safety, is it a case possibly where they're concerned that somebody is monitoring that and may react in a way that they're
Sure,
concerned with?
right.
I mean, is that one specific type? I mean, can you-
Right, yeah, I mean, just from knowing where the officers are at on the front porch, this is, the surveillance video camera is obviously identifying where they're at, things of that nature. So it's something that they turned for their officer safety, yes.
Is that true for all, anytime you're making a call and you notice that there is surveillance cameras, or was it because Mr. Prowse had a violent?
Yeah, you know, again, I think we have to look at every case by case. There's not a there's not just one simple answer for every simple situation. There's a totality of the circumstances is what we talk about in our training, where we look at all the facts that are involved, everything that's involved. And this is a situation dealing with a known violent offender, and the officer, and also a possible domestic violence situation, which is, again, like I said, one of the most dangerous situations that we can respond to. And so I think it's something that we review, and again, to make sure that we're along the lines of the expectations of our community and best practices, but also along the lines of the best practices of officer safety as well.
There was something in the video, you can obviously see it, that flew from the porch or flew, I don't know, something was on the porch and you can see it in the video. Do you guys know what that was, or
I
what
don't.
it plays a part in?
I don't.
Charlie, do you know, you mentioned the incident at the hospital, where a hospital staff removed the ankle brace. So what's the legality there? I mean, did they get
That's something you would have to contact the hospital staff about.
It's a hospital or
Hospital staff.
Do you know why they removed?
you know why they would?
You would have to contact hospital staff.
So they didn't receive a notification or anything from the police to remove it?
Correct.
So that's under hospital jurisdiction?
Right. It was removed while he was in their care. It was not removed by us.
And so, I mean, I know you said it's case-by-case situation. Have officers turned other cameras before in other situations that you know of, or is this the first
I mean,
time?
that would be very hard for me to state. I mean, there's officers on calls every day, year-round. I don't have any information right now.
Do you know how long they've been instructing, for safety reasons for officers to do this if they?
Well, I don't know if we've received any instruction. I don't know if anybody's stated to receive instruction, but it's something that we're very vigilant as we continue to receive calls and respond to calls that officers stay safe.
So
Okay.
where does the discussion, I guess, go from here? There was contact.
Well,
with
there'll be an
process.
internal review of the situation, again, to make sure we're along the lines of the best practices of what the community expects, and also officer safety.
And what's the
Okay.
discussion with Prowse? Is there any? He said that you guys contacted him after because he said he didn't hear a knock or anything, and he saw the video. Is there a discussion with him about, I guess, what happened last night?
Well, there
Or
could
something.
possibly be from our internal review. We will do an internal review on the situation, and then we'll proceed from that point. Let's move on to the next two cases here so we can get through these cases. The next one is going to be the aggravated battery. This occurred in the 1800 block of North Green. Case number 32675 is in regards to the 18-year-old female that had received a gunshot wound about 11:40 last night. On Monday, May 21st, at approximately 11:40, officers responded to a shooting call in the 1800 block of North Green. Officers were in the area at the time and heard multiple shots being fired. Officers quickly arrived and located an 18-year-old female in the driver's seat of a maroon 2000 Chevy Malibu with a single gunshot wound to her torso. The female was transported to an area hospital for medical treatment of serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Two 17-year-old females were also in this vehicle but were not injured. Through the investigation, it was determined that an unknown suspect had drove by in a white Hyundai four-door and began shooting towards the Malibu, striking the victim. This investigation is an ongoing investigation. The only suspect description I have right now is an unknown black male, and we're asking for the community's assistance. If you have any additional information on this case, please call Detectives 268-4407 or Crime Stoppers at 267-2111.
You said there were 2 other females in the car?
That's correct.
Did you say their ages?
17.
So-
Mm-hmm.
You have an upgraded in her condition.
I don't, but it was serious but non-life-threatening injuries.
Is there any belief that the suspect knew the individuals?
We're trying to investigate that now. Don't have that information. We're still ongoing investigation. We're asking, reaching out to our community. If you have any information, know of any information, please don't hesitate to call us to provide us additional as we investigate.
Any sense of what might have motivated the shooting?
Again, we're still investigating. Yeah.
Do you know, was it just the suspect in the white Hyundai? Or were there
To my knowledge, yes. To my knowledge. Okay, last case, aggravated robbery of commercial house at the Little Caesars in the 5000 block of South Broadway. Again, last night about 9:30, officers responded to an armed robbery at the Little Caesars in the 5000 block of South Broadway. When officers arrived, they made contact with a 16-year-old female employee who stated an unknown suspect entered the business armed with a sawed-off shotgun, pointed it at her, and demanded money. The victim stated that she screamed, and the suspect then ran on foot from the business without taking anything from the business. Fortunately, there were no injuries in this case, and we are asking if anyone has any additional information on this case. Again, call our detectives, 268-4407, or again, Crime Stoppers, 267-2111. Suspect's an unknown white male, 5'10", 175 pounds, was wearing a yellow and black shirt, blue jeans, black sunglasses, and a blue mask.
What color was the shirt again?
Black and yellow. You're welcome.
Are there any photos you might be releasing of the suspect?
There was some surveillance inside. I'll get with our investigators, and when they're ready to release those, we can release those.
You said mask, it's like a stocking cap mask.
Yeah, some type of mask over his face, correct.
And you said he didn't take any money, he didn't fire the gun. Once she screamed, he just took off.
He took off, right.
Was he on foot?
He left on foot.
Do you know the direction?
I don't. Anything else today? Okay, again, appreciate everybody's patience with me today as we gathered the information. We should be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Hope everybody has a safe Tuesday.
Would you be able to print out the news release about the, oh,